Um, Great. Well, the third story. Okay, so we stick with the same theme. There's blindness in it, and there's the same male-female thing. Sort of, you've got this nurse.
She's a disgraced nurse.
Right. Yeah. And I think there's that one where you mentioned Florence Nightingale. And
Yes.
make some kind of joke about
yeah,
Florence Nightingale, and she's consulting a video psychologist who's obviously.
Part of her court settlement was
an
that
apparition.
she had to kind of go to therapy,
Yeah.
in fact, to correct her errors.
Yeah.
And that was the condition on which she could still practice. So she's very resentful of having
Is
to...
this a sort of Catholic confessional sort of preoccupation?
Yeah, it's the modern equivalent, certainly. The idea of having to, simply go through everything. Somebody who, when you don't really want to do it at all, but you do it because you have to. Either God's telling you to, or the court, in this case, is telling you to, but you've still got to go through it all and listen to, judgments.
And then there's this, there's this Ovid person hallucinating that they're Ovid.
Which takes us full circle, of course, to our original person hallucinating the Giordano Bruno in the first book. So I thought, well, Ovid is a nice place to end if Giordano Bruno's a place to begin. And the character who thinks that he's Ovid, of course, thinks he's been sent in exile to the Black Sea and that he's, cut off from everything and he's living in this barbarous environment and is boarding with a witch woman.
And there's this nocturnal thing that's mentioned in there, and this idea of that she's getting into his dreams and trying to cure him through again, it's a bit like the Arabian Nights, isn't it?
Yes. You enter the dream world, in this case directly, to try and reach the person who's beyond reach, who is the victim of their own fantasies and their own delusions and is built this impervious wall of fantasy.
The final scene of that was one that I was really impressed by, the scene where he's become kind of wild himself. He's this great sort of a wreckage of a great man, and there's this moment where he just reaches out at the end, and you come down to this sense, this touch, and this kind of insistence, quite again, it's for the emo thing, is it's an insistence on basic warmth and human warmth and love, in spite of whether things are real or unreal, or whether people are insane or not. And there's this kind of...
Yeah, that's right. Because he has in fact defined this woman as unhuman, as a kind of ghoul or something like that. Just, the other woman's an android and these strange creatures on Mars and so on. But there is this sense in which recognising the other person as human is what we're left with as a kind of residue, and that's the emo. And it's meant to seem a risky gesture for everybody involved in the story, but it's also risky for the reader and risky particularly for the author, because it's much easier to have a jangled, harsh, despairing ending than any kind of ending which suggests a resolution or a hope. And I thought, well, if not now, when?
Sounds like a Tracy Chapman song. Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks.
Good.